cell phone, or at least the telephone part. When you have the database open, is the telephone part open also? Is that how it works? It was just to say goodbye to the external world if possible. Kids can put their video games away. What else do we have to distract us? So your telephone is somewhere else?
Yes, it's not even with me.
Good. Whoever gets lost. So Amarendra is coming?
Who, Prabhu?
Amarendra Gupta?
Amarendra Prabhu is... He called me long time back.
Gupta?
Yes.
Yeah, 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, he called and somebody is guiding him outside.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 I wanted to pick this night's verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Very inspiring, shaping by speaking the realization here. Yatredyante katamrishtas Shishnaya prasamoyataha nirvairam yakajuteshu no vega yachakaschana. Translation and purport by Divine Grace. Whenever pure topics of the transcendental world are discussed, the members of the audience forget all kinds of material hankerings, at least for the time being. Not only that, we just finished a metal plate cartels kirtan. So everyone will appreciate that much more your sweet kirtan after the class. Thank you for coming. More devotees will be coming in, or this is it? You came, the three of you came?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, here's the translation. Whenever pure topics of the transcendental world are discussed, the members of the audience forget all kinds of material hankerings, at least for the time being. Not only that, but they are no longer envious of one another, nor do they suffer from anxiety or fear. This is Srimad Bhagavatam 4:30. Prabhupada's purport. Vaikuntha means without anxiety. And the material world means full of anxiety. It's stated by Prahlad Maharaj, Sama samudvigna diyam asad grahat. Living entities who have accepted this material world as a residence are full of anxiety. A place immediately becomes Vaikuntha whenever the holy topics of the personality of Godhead are discussed by pure devotees. This is the process of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. That's explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5. Kirtanam, Vishnu. Chanting and hearing about the Supreme Lord of Vishnu. As the Supreme Lord himself confirms, Aham tishtami vaikunte, yoginam hidaye shiva, yatra tishtami narada, yatra gayanti madhvaka. Dear Narada, actually I do not reside in my abode, Vaikuntha. Nor do I reside within the hearts of the yogis, but I reside in that place where my pure devotees chant my holy name and discuss my form, pastimes, and qualities. Because of the presence of the Lord in the form of transcendental vibration, the Vaikuntha atmosphere is evoked. This atmosphere is without fear and anxiety. One living entity does not fear another. By hearing the holy names and glories of the Lord, a person executes pious activities. Shinvatans Vakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtan. Thus his material hankerings immediately stop. The Sankirtan movement started by the Society for Krishna Consciousness is meant for creating Vaikuntha, the transcendental world that is without anxiety, even in this material world. The method is the propagation of the Shravanam, Kirtanam process throughout the world. In the material world, everyone is envious of his fellow man. Animalistic envy exists in human society as long as there is no performance of the Sankirtan Jagna, the chanting of the holy names. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. The Prachetas therefore decided to remain always in a society of devotees. And they considered that to be the highest benediction possible in human life. Sri Prabhupada ki jai. It's a beautiful purport. It says it all. Prabhupada always does in his purports. I was inspired to read this because I heard a class given by Ravindra Swarup in Mayapur. He spoke on this verse, such a beautiful verse. So, it gives us so much faith in what we're doing. And also, it confirms the faith. Right, we're doing the right thing. Yeah, this is great. Chanting Hare Krishna, coming together, hearing transcendental knowledge, discussing it, and giving that same facility to others. This is what is being described here. And in the beginning, as is explained here, that the members of the audience, when they're hearing, chanting, they forget all kinds of material hankerings, at least for the time being. It's interesting, it says that, at least for the time being. It's like that sometimes. That's why we want to keep going. The nectar is so sweet. And we know that, especially for a little bit neophyte, that as soon as we stop, then the mind takes over again, back out into the material world. So of course the idea is to constantly, Kirtaniya Sada Hari, constantly be chanting the holy name. And then these material hankerings will be gone, not just for the time being, because the time being will be always, because all the time will be being chanting the holy name, hearing the holy name, will have this internal dialogue going on. Just like the gopis, Krishna's associates. No question of ever stopping thinking about Krishna. Even when they were upset with Krishna for not being there, for always letting them down. When they said, we're not even going to talk about it, we're not going to think about it anymore. Such a rascal. Such a rascal because then they went on to start describing what a rascal Krishna was. They just couldn't stop talking about it. So, it's like that. So, it's explained in the Shastra that the speaker, for there to be an infusion of transcendental nectar in the heart, two things have to be there. The speaker has to be bona fide, and the hearer, the listener, has to be bona fide. Prabhupada explains if the speaker and the hearer are bona fide, then there's a genuine transmission of transcendental knowledge. So, we see that people aren't hearing from the right source. They don't quite get it. Remember we were at a kirtan at a yoga center in Tennessee. I was just visiting there. And we got a chance to chant later on. This one lady was chanting some Radharani bhajan. She tried to explain who Radharani was. It was sad to hear it. Because the people weren't getting, they weren't understanding Radharani, because she wasn't hearing from a bona fide source. Or this one very famous kirtanir, he wrote in Satyaraj, he spoke in Satyaraj's book, because Satyaraj was interviewing these famous kirtanirs. And of course he interviewed a lot of devotees too. So the people who read the book got the right idea. This one kirtanir, very famous for chanting Hare Krishna, a lot of devotees have his CDs, because it sounds so good externally, but actually he's a Mayavadi. And he was saying, when I chant Hare Krishna, I don't think of a little blue boy singing like that. It was heartbreaking to read how he was describing his understanding of the Hare Krishna mantra. So the speaker has to be bona fide in order for people to really be able to receive that presence of Krishna in the heart. And of course we don't have any trouble with that, because Prabhupada is the bona fide speaker. It's coming down from the disciplic succession. So our challenge as devotees is to become bona fide hearers. And we're gradually becoming more and more bona fide in the sense that as we advance, we can taste the nectar of the holy name as we advance. In the beginning, maybe a little taste, but then it might go away, and then, or maybe not at all for a while. So, but if we continue, then the taste is there. The taste will come. And that was Prabhupada's expertise. He mentions the Society for Krishna Consciousness here. He says it's meant for creating Vaikuntha by way of Shravanam Kirtanam process, he explains. So he is He created our society so that people like us can come and become bona fide hearers of this transcendental knowledge. Prabhupada made us bona fide. And how did he do that? Just like it's explained that one must hear this transcendental knowledge with rapt attention. Just like the sages of Naimisharanya, they were ready to sit for 1,000 years just hearing transcendental knowledge. It's hard for us to sit 5 minutes without the mind going off in so many different directions. Mind is like that. We can manage to stay in one place with our bodies. It's easier to control the gross material energy than the subtle. So it's not that people wind up just walking around, right? They just can't control their bodies. No, we can do that. We can sit in a class. But the mind wanders so many different places. Much harder to control the mind. It's a fickle, subtle thing. The Prabhupada explains that when he tells us how to chant. Feeling with concentration. And if the mind wanders, bring it back. Wanders again, bring it back. We don't let it wander and then realize that we've chanted our rounds without even listening to anything, because it goes on mechanically. So, it's not easy. It's not easy. But it's explained, one must hear with rapt attention. How? That one can't do that unless one is pure in one's activities. When it's not pure in one's activities, it becomes extremely difficult to control. Which means being pure in our eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Prabhupada explains like that. I forget which purport, it's in the first canto. So therefore, we're given the regular principles to bring us to the mode of goodness. No intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling, no meat eating. So that if we're following these principles, then the mind can become more peaceful, the mode of goodness. And of course, then if we're serving, what is that? Sushu Shosha Danasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Syan Mahatsarya Vipra Punya Tirtana Sheva. And one who serves the great souls who are free from vice, great service is done. And by such service, one develops, anyone remember? An affinity for hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, if we're controlling our senses and we're engaging in service, then that attraction for hearing develops. And one gets a great taste for hearing. Just like Sukadeva Goswami had been questioned by Maharaj Bricket, and even just hearing the questions, it was an ecstasy. Just the questions. And Maharaj Bricket was in ecstasy hearing the answers, and just went on and on and on and on like that. No eating, no sleeping. Ecstasy. What a way to leave one's body, right? Being absorbed like that. And as being explained here, no fear, even about death. You ask devotees if they had their choice, how they would leave their bodies. How would you leave your body? You had your choice. What would you be doing?
In Kirtan.
Right. So many devotees say that, yeah, if I could just leave my body there in Kirtan, ecstatic Kirtan. What a way to go. Right? Absorbed in hearing and chanting. Like that, tasting the nectar of Krishna in this holy name. So there's nothing sweeter than that. And that we can all realize. And when we have a taste, then all these other things, all these fears, all these distractions, it won't even be a challenge for us anymore to deal with them. Because they won't be there. Prabhupada said, well now it's almost 100 years ago, Prabhupada said, even up to 50 years ago in India, in the evening, everyone would sit outside and hear and chant the Shastra. That's how they would spend their evenings in the villages. That's about 100 years ago now. So we know nowadays it's not like that, right? Satellite TV everywhere. It's not like that. Hindi movies. Yeah. In fact, so many of the melodies that we use are for Hindi movies. Police don't know that. Ajamil knows. Before he became a devotee, he was an authority. He would have won any quiz show on Hindi movies. So, they didn't used to have that. They used to, Hare Krishna. They used to be living the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, this is what the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is all about. That's why it's so. That's why it's so nice that we all come together like this. I had the great fortune of traveling, so we're always at so many programs everywhere, and also yourselves too. The weekend is filled with hearing and chanting. And if the week can be filled with hearing and chanting also, whenever possible, just like Prabhupada used to glorify his father. He used to have his life, worked in a cloth shop, etc., but his real life was coming home, doing his puja, and he would invite sadhus over all the time. This is his real life. And what did Prabhupada say real life was? It's an ecstatic morning, day and night of preaching. And he would say, preaching, this is life, this is real. Why is that? Because one is focused on Krishna, and one is talking about devotion to Krishna. That's why it's so nice to give a class. How many of you have given a class? Raise your hand if you've ever given a class. Huh? Raise your hand. So purifying, isn't it? Because you have to think about Krishna the whole time. If you don't, you're finished. Right? You have to keep talking about Krishna the whole time. It's so purifying. And at these Bhakti Vriksha programs, everybody gets a chance to speak, right? Remember when Jayataka Maharaj first introduced this program, he was studying about it, and this is maybe 20, 25 years ago in Manipur. He had a few of us come over to his room, and we did it. We went around the room, we read a verse, we went around the room. Everybody felt so great because we all had a chance to express ourselves, hear others talk about the same topic. Conversation was on such a high platform. We just wanted to keep going and going. And this is what happens during these groups. Even a new person, they start expressing their highest ideals, their innermost realizations, even if they might not be exactly correct. After everybody gets a chance to talk, then they hear the truth also, because the devotees are there, and they're expressing the truth, and it's so purified. They keep coming back, because it's magic. Krishna's present. Krishna's present. Devotees are present, and that's by the atmosphere that Prabhupada is talking about here. It doesn't cost anything. It's the simplest thing in the world. And it simplifies one's life, like anything. It brings clarity to one's life, because one is thinking on the basis of the Shastra and Srila Prabhupada's purports. Prabhupada is giving you the highest realization and the highest platform. explaining what's absolutely essential in life and what's absolutely relishable in life. So that's why this verse in purple is so nice. Prabhupada is talking about, on the verse, talking about free from envy, for hearing and chanting properly, you come to a higher platform. Freedom from envy. What else? Prabhupada gives not envious of his fellow man. Yes, no fear. Mentioned that somewhere also. And of course, it's not that we have to be hearing and chanting in the association of devotees. It's more nectarian. That's why it's explained that the Sankirtan, congregational, we're coming together to chant Hare Krishna together and discuss this Yuga Dharma. But we can also be absorbed in hearing, right? Talking about being a bona fide hearer. If we're in the proper consciousness, then every word is like nectar. Every word in Srimad Bhagavatam is like nectar. And we just want to keep absorbing ourselves in it. That's why it's explained that if we rise early in the morning and we engage in activities of hearing and chanting, we get so much benefit because the mind is very much receptive to becoming absorbed in transcendental knowledge early in the morning. Do you have experience of that? Anybody? It's called the Brahma Muhurta hour if you can be up that early. And the mind is very peaceful. Before the day starts, it's early in the morning. Who has absorbed themselves in Shastra early in the morning? Does anyone have that experience? 5 minutes early in the morning? No? Not enough time?
Define early.
Hmm?
Define early.
First thing you do when you get up. If that's a priority, it's just like most people when they get up, they eat breakfast, right? Because they need to be nourished. So we understand we need to be nourished spiritually. First thing, get some nectar. What is that verse? Satam prasanga mama virya samviro vanti vikarna vasayana kata. That this kata, this hearing and chanting is nectar. It's a tonic for the heart and for the ear. Vanti vikarna. So we relish that. Like, hey, this gives us strength to do this. This is why Prabhupada wrote his books. Not just to keep on the shelf or on the computer. Prabhupada would chastise us sometimes. He would be very happy that we're distributing books. He said, but you must read the books also. So I was thinking about this and I read this once before at a program. I remember that I had written a Vyasa Puja offering about how much I was relishing hearing from Prabhupada early in the morning. I wrote a poem, and I was remembering and I wanted to read that poem. I wrote it in 1994. And just a while back, I was looking at it again. I was thinking it was nice. It was like I hadn't read it for so many years. I had forgotten that I'd written it and I saw it. So I wanted to read it because it expresses what we're talking about. And I hope you can identify with what I'm saying. The poem. And I'm sure you can. So. Nothing else will ever do. Pristine morning hours. My favorite time to be absorbed in meditation on all you've let me see. I'm speaking to Srila Prabhupada. Early morning hours, just you, the Lord, and me. I wish that it could last for all eternity. Realizations journaled, strengthening my day. Krishna's pure devotee showing me the way. Your words, your voice, your smile, placed upon my heart. I pray that they remain there to help me stay apart from the deadly world of Maya that beckons as the sun rises in the heavens, calling everyone. As Kali's agents lure, mad after their prey, early morning thoughts recalled will get me through the day. With transcendental knowledge, I'll beat them at their game. Your words and books will tame them and help them chant the name. Transcendental sound, your mystical infusion, will shower Kali's agents, ending their intrusion. This chanting and remembering, inspiring others too, is our eternal pastime revealed to us by you. Sankirtan forever. What can be as sweet? Communing with the Lord and everyone you meet. As the day is brought to a close and morning comes once more, again I yearn your darshan, your mercy to explore. And if I cannot get it, if time does not allow, I am pained in separation and cannot figure how I'd go on fighting Maya if I couldn't hear from you, whose giving love of Krishna nothing else will ever do. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So on behalf of Srila Prabhupada, my eternal spiritual master, and yours also, we are begging that you try to find some time to relish this nectar and become more and more bona fide as hearers every day, so your relish can increase eternally. So that is the purport of this verse. Does anyone have any comments or questions?
Maharaj, I have asked you a lot of questions in the past, but one question
Do you know why you ask so many questions? Because you always come late for class. And I always wind up talking about what you ask before you come.
Yeah, but that is true, but my mind is in the class and is with you. I just...
We have this rasa. Okay, what's the question?
Yeah, before you joined Krishna consciousness, did you practice any other religion besides this? And if you did, what was that striking thing which you really struck your mind and you followed it?
Before I answer that, does anyone have any questions on exactly what we're talking about? Any of the topics that we discussed? Yes,
Hare Krishna Maharaj, welcome to Houston.
please.
Maharaj, you said bona fide Harikatha. But in India, generally people say, they say you turn on the TV in the mornings and everybody is preaching the message of Bhagavatam. So how to explain to them that not all Bhagavad speakers or bona fide, and not all Harikatha is, will produce the same result.
How do we explain to people that not all speakers of the Bhagavatam are bona fide?
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit this morning. Not just in India, but here as well. The verse was about so many things that we were discussing about democracy and saintly kings of the past. Now the kings and the leaders are probably said they're wretched. Kshatriyas and Brahmanas. Kings live in a wretched condition of life. And people realize that. And they've rejected authority because of all the hypocrisy. So, many people, at least in the West, they don't accept any authority, except their own heart, their own consciousness. And that's as bad as everything else because they're just speculating. So, whether one listens to one's mind, or whether one listens to some so-called authority, one thing is we have to judge by the results. Are you becoming free from material hankering? Are you developing a desire through this hearing to serve the Lord and give up sense gratification? Because bhakti is a path of, we say it's a path of dedication. It's also a path of renunciation, but first the dedication comes. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Jnanayati Asu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayana. So by rendering devotional service, then knowledge and detachment come, one can become renounced. And it sounds nicer too. We're preaching dedication. We're not preaching renunciation. People are afraid of it. Can I lift this up a little? I'm getting a sore neck now. I hope we aren't getting it.
Yes.
Okay, so far so good. So that's one point. Another point is, we have to be able to discuss with someone various points of philosophy. So someone will be attached to some guru for certain reasons. And we're attached to Srila Prabhupada for certain reasons. So we have to understand what those reasons are. We have to be able to discriminate, understand the differences, and be able to communicate that in a very palatable way. So it's an individual situation. At least we have to know the Shastra. That's why Prabhupada gives us so many arguments, all different types of philosophies. And if someone is willing to hear, then we should be able to speak nicely and convince. And also, give them the nectar of the Hare Krishna mantra. Because that enables one to understand, go very, very deeply into our philosophy. That is the catalyst. Hearing from the pure devotee and chanting the holy name. But if someone doesn't want to surrender, it's like if someone is pretending to sleep, you can't wake them up. If someone doesn't want to surrender, then we go somewhere else. But at least we show them how happy we are as devotees. We go to so many yoga centers when we travel, and they all note how happy we are as devotees. And they have other people coming and chanting. It's different when other people chant. That's why we're becoming so popular on the kirtan scene, the bhakti scene, because the devotees are alive it. And people are noting that, becoming more and more popular. So there's a difference. And people naturally ask, well, what do you do? In the past, they used to say, well, it's the food they eat. They put something in the food. Don't eat their food. They don't say that anymore. They respect us. They know we're absorbed in something. So the example speaks very, very loudly. Very loud. Okay, anything else on these points? Okay, go to Amaranjam. So what was it about Krishna consciousness that I liked better than the my original religion? What was it?
That was the question. That did
Yeah.
you practice any other religion other
Did I
than
practice any
before
other-
you joined Krishna?
Not really. I was a member of another religion by birth. And I said a few prayers. I was brought up, I went to religious school. Never took it very seriously. Because I wasn't able to feel it. There was one thing that I liked when we went to the synagogue Friday night. They used to chant this prayer in Hebrew, and the translation also. It was a Krishna conscious prayer. I remember just a little of it. And years later, a few years after I joined, I told my parents that this prayer, I always remembered they were so happy. Because they were thinking, well maybe, and then they got me a copy of the prayer in Hebrew, and they were thinking, well maybe I'd go back to becoming Jewish because I like this prayer. It's a Krishna conscious prayer. Are there any Jews in it? It starts like that. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, soul, and mind. And one should think of these words when thou walkest by the way, when thou liest down, when thou risest up, and should keep them upon thy heart, your heart. And something you should always remember and walk holy with thy God. Something like that. Beautiful prayer. Krishna conscious prayer. But there was so much lacking there, as we all know. In so much of these religions, so much lacking. So much knowledge lacking. And where are the practitioners? Where's the process? Where is it? So I was lost until Srila Prabhupada came. Gave us the chanting of the holy names. And the lifestyle of Krishna consciousness. And the devotees who were practicing. It was a whole package that Prabhupada gave us. A whole life that one could insert oneself into. The kids who grow up in our movements, especially in a community like Dallas or Houston, thanks to Srila Gurudev, who had this vision, you just naturally grow up in a community of devotees. And you go to the temple, you do kirtan, you have prasadam, you have all these festivals. But we didn't grow up like that. It was a completely secular atmosphere. No sense of community. The only sense of community is like people coming together for sense gratification once in a while. But there was nothing uplifting about it. It was just based on sense gratification. You all know how the secular world is. The loving relationships, they're temporary. They're based on mutual affinities for sense gratification, friends and then not friends, and this group, that group. It's there's no sense of community. And as Prabhupada explains, he was able to establish for us a facility to enter into a Vaikuntha atmosphere. And so the young people grow up in this. So fortunate, such a high birth. I had nothing like that. Most of us, at least in the West, absolutely nothing like that. So when the Hare Krishna movement came, I joined in Buffalo, New York. It was a whole package that you can just take shelter of. The temple, devotees, deities, chanting, prasadam, scriptures, Harinam, Prabhupada. Prabhupada was there also. So it was life. What a difference between what we had been doing and what Prabhupada gave us to enter into. Prabhupada made it very easy, very easy. Not just the philosophy, not just the book. Some people say, yeah, that book, what was it? Autobiography, yeah, I read that, that was good. But what? Of course, there are also other movements, etc., but it's nothing like what Prabhupada established.